yellow line is bleeding into the oil stains on this lonesome stretch of blacktop. My headlights catch the skeleton of the old Sinclair station, where we used to steal kisses. The air smells like damp pine in the copper tank of an approaching autumn storm. Every shuttered window on Main Street feels like a cold eye watching me crawl back home. I passed the water tower with all names, faded under 20 years of rust and rain. My knuckles are white as bone against the warm leather of this steering wheel. The silence in the cab is screaming louder than the diesel engine ever could. Every mile marker is a tally of the days I spent running from the truth. Shadows of the oak trees dance across the porch where a rocking chair sat still. The moonlight spills like silver whiskey over the fields we used to call our kingdom. A broken heart don't make a sound when it hits the floor of a ghost town. There's a flickering lamp in the window of the house where I left my soul behind. I didn't just walk away from the girl. I buried my father's pride in a shallow grave. Left the mortgage on the kitchen table and took the only key that still worked. Now I'm staring at the darkened nursery window of a life I wasn't brave enough to lead. The guilt tastes like wood smoke and the bitter dregs of a bottle of cheap rye. I was a coward dressed in denim and a reckless dream of something better than the soil. God, I wish I'd crashed this truck before I ever crossed that county line 10 years ago. I'm finally letting go of the steering wheel and letting the memory wash me clean. The sunrise is a pale bruise on the horizon as I put the truck back into gear. I don't need a map to know that some roads only lead to a quiet final goodbye. I'm leaving the ghost to the night and taking the peace I finally found in the dark. The weight of the badge, there's a bullet hole in the mirror right where my reflection used to be. The dust on the bar top is the only thing that stays for free. I've been driving this highway since the stars went cold and gray, looking for a piece of ground where I don't have to pray. The wind through the rafters sounds like a choir of the damned. The blast is sweating and the ice is turning into tears. I'm counting the minutes, but I'm losing track of the years. The silence is a hammer hitting the nail into my soul. I'm losing my grip on the only thing I can control. Carry the burden of the bones buried in the desert sand. A lonely man's heart is a barren and a broken land. The whiskey don't bite as hard as the memory of her face. I'm searching for a mercy that I know I can't ever replace. I wear this tin star, but it's tarnished and covered in shame, because I didn't find the killer, I just gave them a different name. I let an innocent man swing while I pocketed the judge's bribe. Now I'm the only witness left to the truth I tried to hide. A badge in my pocket is burning a hole through my skin. The road ahead is a black ribbon winding through the night. Every headlight passing by is a searchlight for my life. I built this cage out of secrets and locked myself inside. There's no place in this valley where a guilty man can hide. I trade my tomorrow for a single hour of being clean, but the devil is a creditor who's always being mean. I'm confessing to the bottle because the bottle doesn't judge. I'm drowning in the middle of a lifelong bitter grudge. The lights are flickering and the tavern is closing its eyes. I can hear the hounds barking under the indigo skies. Maybe the morning will find me at the bottom of the well. I'm leaving my tab open on the doorstep of hell. Blinking yellow light at the crossroads looks like a dying heartbeat in the fog. I'm passing the diner where the neon sign is missing the R and the E tonight. My tires are humming a funeral march on the bridge over the muddy creek. I can see the ripple of the water catching the pale light of a lonesome moon. Dashboard lights are a dim green glow, reflected in the fear in my tired eyes. I'm holding my breath as I pass the lane that leads to her daddy's farmhouse. Every turn of the engine feels like a clock ticking down to an inevitable end. drifting down from the hills where we used to hunt for treasure. The scent of her lavender soap still haunts the upholstery of this old bench seat. Rusty chains are clanking on the swing set in the park where we carved our vows. 1,000 stories are written in the dirt of these back roads I tried to forget. I spent a decade chasing the shadow while the real sun was setting right behind me. I let the bottle speak for me when I should have used my own damn voice to stay. Now the porch light is off at her place, and there's a strange car parked in the drive. That's the price you pay for leaving a heart out in the cold for too many winters. I'm shouting at the wind 'cause the wind is the only thing that will listen to me now. I was wrong to think that distance could ever cure the sickness of a restless spirit. I'm dropping my guard and letting the truth cut through the armor I built around my heart. The road ahead is dark, but my mind is clearer than it's been in a dozen years. I'll take a long way out of town and leave the ghosts to their peaceful slumber. It's a quiet kind of mercy to know that life goes on, even when you aren't there. Bit of bleeding for a man who forgot my name. The factory whistle sounds like a funeral march for my youth. I sing the sunrise through a dirty window for far too long. The rust on the gate is the only thing growing in this dead valley. My dreams were gathering dust in the corner of a damp basement. Walking the line until I realized the line was a circle. I got a suitcase full of nothing and a heart full of lightning. The engine is singing a hymn about the end of the world. I can feel the gravity losing its grip on my restless bones. I'm far past the fences where the cattle stare at the moon. The speedometer is the only truth I need to believe in right now. Trading the safety of the cage for the danger of the open road. I'm a spark in the dark, heading for the edge of a mountain. I didn't pack a bag, I just grabbed the jacket off the hook. Left my resignation letter on the kitchen table like a final prayer. The gravel crunched under my tires like the sound of a jail door opening. By the time they notice I'm gone, I'll be 2 states away. The city lights are fading into the purple haze of the midnight sky. The night is a wide open ocean, and I'm finally learning to sail. Every mile is a brink I'm pulling out of the wall of this town. I'm finding the melody in the chaos of the rushing wind. No more shadows was born for the motion, not the stillness of the assembly line. Finally breathing the air that wasn't recycled by a silence of the desert. I'm free on my way
Seven 7,000 mornings say
$7,000 mornings. factory floors, a conveyor belt to an early grave. My father died with a wrench in his hand and a dead in his chest. I'm walking through the steam like a man possessed by a bearded ghost. Every bolt I tighten feel like a nail in the coffin of my dreams. The same old stories are told over the same lukewarm lunch. The tank is full and the paper map is burned to ashes. My heart is a piston hitting 6,000 revolutions per minute. The gate is open and I'm not looking for anyone's permission. I'm screaming at the sky with the windows rolled down to the floor. The state line is a finish line for a race I didn't know I was in. Trading the industrial grave for the gold of a western sunset. I'm a hurricane of dust, leaving the struggle in the rear view. I left the engine idling while I walked back to the front office. Dropped my tool belt on the floor and didn't say a single word. The silence of the parking lot was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Then I slammed the door and let the gravel fly towards the fence. I'm leaving the shadow of the smokestack for the heat of the road. Every bridge I cross is a bridge I'm burning behind my back. The radio is playing a song that sounds like the first day of spring. I've got the wind for a compass and the stars for a master plan. Nothing can stop the momentum of a man who's finally broken free. I used to think the world ended at the edge of the county limit, but the asphalt is singing a different tune about the miles ahead. I'm shedding the skin of the laborer and becoming the traveler, triumphant and tired, but more alive than I've ever been. I'm an outlaw of the ordinary, stealing back the years I lost. The stars are mapping out a path that doesn't lead back to the mill. Freedom isn't a destination, it's the way the ties I'm on the blacktop. I'm finally the pilot of a life that was grounded for too long. Let the engine sing the ending of the hardest chapter I ever wrote. Moving toward the morning with the pedal pressed to the iron. Gone into the light, never looking back. The headlights cutting through the fog like a knife through sacred grass on a Sunday night. I'm passing the old sawmill where the saws have been silent for a generation now. The air is heavy with the scent of damp sawdust and the ghost of working men. Every pothole in this road is a memory of a journey I wasn't ready to take. My hand is shaking on the gear shift as I approach the house with the blue shutters. The emotional weight of 10 years is pressing down on the roof of this cab I can feel the gravity of the past pulling me toward the porch light in the distance. Fireflies are dancing in the meadow behind the fence we built with our own hands. A tattered screen door is swinging in the breeze like a heartbeat in an empty house. The silver lining of the clouds is the only map I have left to find my way back. 1,000 unspoken words are hanging in the air like smoke from a dying fire. I found a letter in the glove box that I wrote to her from a motel in East Texas. It's stained with coffee and the truth that I was too scared to mail it back then. I realized I wasn't running to something, I was just terrified of being known. The stakes are higher now that I see the life she built without me in the picture. I'm tearing down the walls of my own stubborn heart right here on this gravel drive. I was the villain in the story, but I'm ready to be the man who learns to stay. I'm breathing out the poison of the rope and breathing in the grace of the valley. A small smile catches me in the rearview mirror as the first bird starts to sing. I'm not looking back anymore because the view in front of me is finally enough. I'm stepping out of the truck and leaving the keys in the dirt for the wind to find. Blinking yellow light at the crossroads looks like a dying heartbeat in the fog. I'm passing the diner where the neon sign is missing the R and the E tonight. My tires are humming a funeral march on the bridge or the muddy creek. I can see the ripple of the water catching the pale light of a lonesome moon. The dashboard lights are a dim green glow reflecting the fear in my tired eyes. I'm holding my breath as I pass the lane that leads to her daddy's farmhouse. Every turn of the engine feels like a clock ticking down an inevitable end. Wildfire smoke is drifting down from the hills where we used to hunt for treasure. The scent of her lavender soap still haunts the upholstery of this old bench seat. The rusty chains are clanking on the swing set in the park where we carved our vows. 1,000 stories are written in the dirt of these back roads. I tried to Spent a decade chasing a shadow while the real sun was sitting right behind me. Let the bottle speak for me when I should have used my own damn voice to stay. Now the porch light is off at her place, and there's a strange car parked in the drive. That's the price you pay for leaving a heart out in the cold for too many winters. I'm shouting at the wind 'cause the wind is the only thing that will listen to me now. I was wrong to think that distance could ever cure the sickness of a restless spirit. I'm dropping my guard and letting the truth cut through the armor I built around my heart. The road ahead is dark, but my mind is clearer than it's been in a dozen years. I'll take the long way out of town and leave the ghosts to their peaceful slumber. It's a quiet kind of mercy to know that life goes on, even when you aren't there. Gravel spits against the wheel wells like a hail of bullets in the midnight air. I can see the silhouette of the grain elevator looming like a giant over the valley. The scent of wild honeysuckle is thick enough to choke a man who forgot the smell. I'm idling at the four-way stop where the town ends and the regrets begin. Pressure is building in my chest like the steam in an old locomotive boiler. I can feel the ghost of my younger self hitchhiking on the shoulder of the road. The shadows of the past are reaching out to grab the chrome on my bumper. Stars are burning holes in the velvet sky above the place I used to call home. A tattered flag snaps in the wind outside the VFW where we danced our first slow song. Memories are heavy as the iron gates on a cemetery hill under the pale moon. There's a hollow echo in the valley that sounds just like the name I used to whisper. I promised her a ring and a white fence, but I gave her a cloud of dust and a tail light. Found out too late that the city lights are just a neon light told a lonely man. I sold the family legacy for a paycheck that burned through my pockets in a week. Now I'm looking at the weeds growing through the cracks of the life I should have lived. I ain't the man who left, and I ain't the man who stayed, just a drifter in the middle. Forgive me for the silence, forgive me for the distance and the bridge I set on fire. I'm standing on the ashes now, finally breathing without the weight of the world. down as I turn the radio off and listen to the crickets sing. Tomorrow is a different state, but tonight I'm just a man who came back to say sorry. Let the dust settle on the tracks I left behind on this long, winding road. Spitting watermelon seeds off the back of your porch. We were the kings of the county holding the torch, tracing maps in the dirt with a broken stick, thinking that the bond we had would always stick. Thick as the humidity in a Georgia July, two kids convinced that we'd never say goodbye. The distance isn't measured in the miles on the road. It's the silence that settles under the heavy load. We traded our dreams for the bills and the pride, with nowhere left for the young hearts to hide. A beautiful tragedy of becoming someone. Now your house is filled with voices I've never met, and my life is a gamble with a mountain debt. You speak of the harvest and the price of the grain. I talk of the city and the weight of the rain. The laughter we shared is a muffled old sound, lost in the noise of the world spinning round. Time is a thief that doesn't leave a single trace, except for the lines etched across a weary face. We're just two ships that passed in the morning light, losing our bearings in the middle of the night. Wisdom comes at a cost I didn't want to pay. Bottle and a dusty old frame, searching for the boy who shared my last name. It's okay that we're different now, even if I don't remember how to bridge the gap between us. Spent bleeding for a man and forgotten my name. The factory whistle sounds like a funeral march for my aid. I've seen the sun rise through a dirty window for far too long. The rust on the gate is the only thing growing in this dead valley. My dreams were gathering dust in the corner of a damn basement, walking the line until I realized the line was a circle. I got a suitcase full of nothing and a heart full of lightning. The engine is singing a hymn about the end of the world. I can feel the gravity losing its grip on my restless bones. I'm flying past the fences where the cows stare at the moon. The speedometer is the only truth I need to believe in right now. Trading the safety for the danger of the open road. I'm a spark in the dark, heading for the edge of the map. I didn't pack a bag, I just grabbed the jacket off the hook. Left my resignation letter on the kitchen table like a final prayer. The gravel crunched under my tires like the sound of the jail door open, man. By the time they notice I'm gone, I'll be 2 states away. The city lights are fading into the purple haze of the midnight sky. The night is a wide open ocean, and I'm finally learning to sail. Every mile is a brick I'm pulling out of the wall of this town. I'm finding the melody in the chaos of the rushing wind. No more shadows on the wall, just the glow of the dashboard lights. I look back at the valley and I don't feel the sting of the past. I feel the triumph of the escape and the weight of the new world. I was born for the motion, not the stillness of the assembly line. Finally breathing the air that wasn't recycled by a machine.
7,000 more. 7,000 free. On my way home. 7,000 mornings. 7,000 free. 7,000 mornings. Yeah. 7,000 mornings.
Shadows dance in the corner, like the men I left behind in the rain. I'm trying to drown the thunder, but it's rattling my brain. This glass of rye is the only friend that doesn't ask me why. I'm staring at the ceiling, waiting for the stars to die. The wood of this bar is stained with 100 years of grief. The wind is kicking up the dust along the lonely frontage road. I'm carrying a heavy and a catastrophic load. The air is getting thinner and the lights are turning blue. I'm running out of time and I'm running out of you. There's a cold wind blowing through the cracks in my weary heart. I've been walking disaster right from the very start. The cards on the table are all showing the ace of spades. I'm watching the colors of my life as a memory fades. You might think I'm a widow or mourning in a tragic loss, but I'm the one who threw the silver and I'm the one who paid the cost. I sold the location of the hideout to the men in the black suits. I trade my brothers for a suitcase and a pair of shiny boots. Now the money is rotting in a hole beneath the sycamore tree. I can hear the ghosts of the gang riding hard across the plain. Every drop of water on the roof is a bullet in the rain. The devil is a hitchhiker I picked up miles ago. He's sitting right beside me and he's starting to show. I'm confessing to the shadows because the preacher is a promises to break, and I've got secrets to keep. My soul is a desert where nothing is ever gonna grow. I'm just a man with nowhere left for a spirit to go. Headlights are sweeping across the empty parking lot. I'm trying to remember the lessons that I was never taught. The engines are idling and the night is nearly done. I'm still sitting here staring at the barrel of the sun.
Echoes of the playground, under the flickering porch light, we felt like giants in the middle of the night. A handshake was a contract that couldn't be broken. Back when the truth didn't need to be spoken, I knew your secrets, and you knew all of mine. Walking together on a thin straight line. The seasons keep changing while we stay the same, but the spark in our friendship is a dying flame. I'm reaching for someone who isn't there anymore, watching the tide pull away from the shore. Slow motion parting of two kindred hearts. Now you talk about politics and interest rates, while I'm still worrying about the closing gates. You found a religion that I can't understand, and I've got a life that didn't go as I planned. We're polite at the funerals and the weddings we attend, but I know that I've lost my very best friend. It's funny how time makes a hero a ghost and takes away the things that you needed the most. We're just two branches on a dying old tree, trying to remember how it used to be when the world was as small as a yard. I'll keep the memories in a box on the shelf and try to find a way to be okay with myself. Safe travels on the road you've paved, for all the moments that we never saved. Just a quiet sigh in the wind. The rust on the gate, the tire swing is hanging by a single freight thread. Remember how we jump into the clover bed. We shared a pack of gum and a secret oath, back when this small town was big enough for both. You had the blueprint and I had the spark, running till the street lights chased away the dark. Life is a river, it carves out its own jagged way. The things we didn't mention are the things we can't say. We looked at the saw two different skies. Now there's a stranger looking through my oldest friend's eyes. The bridge we burned was made of time instead of wood. You settled down with a mortgage and a steady hand. I took the highway searching for the promised land. The car we shared last Christmas felt like a chore, talking about the weather through a locked iron door. Your knuckles are callous while my soul is just tired. Two different paths that the universe required. Maybe growing up is just learning how to let go of the people we promised we'd always know. The mirror shows a man I barely recognize at all, standing in the shadow of a rising garden wall. It's not that we failed, it's just that we grew. I'll leave a light on for the ghost of you, a quiet nod to the brothers we used to be, before the world stole you away from me. Just a whisper in the pines, walking separate lines.